We have a trade to announce! A July trade! Those are always fun. You could even say those are always Thrun. Stop booing! Stop booing! It was very good! The Toronto Maple Leafs have traded Ryan Reaves to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for defenseman Henry Thrun. Now, a lot of Leaf fans suspected the Leafs are probably going to try to move Ryan Reaves this offseason. Who knows if they're going to be able to do it? Who knows if they're going to have to attach a sweetener to it? The sort of thing where, like, earlier today, you saw the Stars and the Penguins make a trade where the Penguins trade a minor leaguer to the Stars, and the Stars ship Matt Dumba and a second. And honestly, a year or two ago, that's probably the way this shakes out because cap space was just straight up harder to come by and more valuable. Now let's be honest, $1.35 million for a guy who's not in your lineup every night is tough. $1.35 million for a guy who's almost never in your lineup is way worse. And that's kind of what Ryan Reaves had become on the Leafs. And even though Craig Berube was an enforcer when he was a player in the NHL for a very long time and a very feared one, that's not really how his teams work. The St. Louis Blues, the Craig Berube coach, they had tough guys on them, like Robert Bertuzzo was a tough customer, especially if you had to play against him in practice. But the Blues were tough and big and mean throughout the lineup. They didn't need an enforcer per se. You got to be able to skate, you got to be able to defend, you got to be able to forecheck, and you got to be able to keep up with everybody. Let's be honest, there were times in Ryan Reaves' Leafs career where it didn't look like he could do that. When he started with the Leafs, the beginning of a 3-year contract, mind you, he got scored on nearly every game, every time his line was on the ice. It was bad. Now, in his defense, and to his credit, he redeemed that. He righted the ship. He figured it out. And that was under Sheldon Keefe, mind you. By the end of the season, he was pretty regular. He played in most of their playoff games against Boston, though not all. And even in the games where he wasn't playing in Boston, he was still in the tunnel hyping up the boys. For some of you, that's going to be an eye roller. That's a great teammate, man. This past season, he leaned down. He lost some weight. He became a better skater. And no, it's not like his line was getting scored on every time he was on the ice, but there was still times where he struggled to keep up a bit. Dude's 38. He's legitimately one of the oldest players in the NHL. He's actually had an amazing career in his role. He's within arm's length, potentially, of reaching 1,000 games, depending on how his stint in San Jose goes. He's played over 100 Stanley Cup playoff games. There are guys in the Hockey Hall of Fame who didn't get to 100 Stanley Cup playoff games. There's a bunch of guys on the Leafs right now. I would die for them to have played at least 100 Stanley Cup playoff games. He did come under some fire this past season because he's a fighter, and he didn't fight. And what does he do? He goes and he picks the toughest guy in the league, in my opinion, in Matthew Olivier on the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's a heck of a first fight of the season, and he does A-okay. Dude, that's Matthew Olivier. If you got time and you're done watching the golf course fight video, look up Matthew Olivier fight. Go look at what he did to Arbor Jacki. Arbor Jacki. Listen, I'm not asking you to like Arbor Jacki, but he is legitimately one of the top 5, maybe top 3 toughest guys to fight in the NHL. I didn't say he's going to win the Norris. I said he's tough. And Olivier worked him. Now, Reaves was always out there running around trying to throw hits, and sometimes he connected, sometimes he didn't. The reason for that is up to you. Maybe he couldn't catch up to the player. Maybe the player was always aware that Ryan Reaves was on the ice and didn't want to expire. The Leafs do have Michael Pezzetta, a guy who was at very least crazy enough to fight Ryan Reaves several times. And the great thing about the Berube Leafs is they have guys throughout the lineup who will go. Dude, Pontus Holmberg fought. I know he's not a Leaf anymore, but that's the effect I'm talking about. I mean, pretty much anyone in the D-Corps will go. Off the top of my head, Domi, Nyes, Lawton, Waugh, Lorentz. Like, who am I missing? I think, does McMahon have a fight? Oh, Pezzetta? I did say Pezzetta. Dude, Dakota Mermis will go. The Leafs want guys all up and down the lineup who aren't afraid to go. Listen, Sharks fans, I think you're going to love Ryan Reaves. He's a funny guy. You're never going to see him, especially in California. You are now never, ever going to see him in a shirt even in the winter. I am aware that it's kind of NorCal and it's temperate a bit, but no, still no shirt. He's adamant about this, actually. And listen, do you want Macklin Celebrini fighting Michael Misa? If that's something those guys end up developing into their game, great, cool, fine. Should they be doing it right now? If guys get lippy with all the talented kids on the San Jose Sharks, there's Ryan Reaves. The Sharks can 100% afford to have Ryan Reaves in their lineup most nights. And if he's not in the lineup, I don't think it'll be because of a healthy scratch situation. Reaves does not have the greatest knees. That was a problem in Toronto. But the fists work just fine. I don't know if Reaves has a role on a team like the Leafs. I don't know if he has a role on a lot of teams. I like the idea of him on a young team like San Jose. I think it makes sense. And it's not going to be forever. He's got 1 year left on his contract and he's 38. Max, you extend him one more year after this one and then, surely he's done. Listen, the future is important. You have to protect the future. And as you know, the future is teal. Just think about the first time the Sharks play the Canucks. Reaves and Kane. I don't think there's any love lost there. That's a fun YouTube search as well. Not fans of each other at all. Now, we've talked a lot about what this means for the Sharks. What does this mean for the Leafs? Henry Thrun is a 24-year-old left shot defenseman, and he makes $1 million. So he makes a little bit more than minimum, I guess. Maybe you don't want to spend that on a 7th D-ish. But again, you got to look at the Leafs differently. You don't look at them the way that they've been operating for the last God knows how many years. Anyone over league minimum being a healthy scratch on this team, having the luxury of having healthy scratches on this team at times was unfathomable. You had to operate at the smallest roster possible, and if someone gets hurt, you're screwed. Well, a lot of good teams, they have extras who are guys you can use in the NHL. Henry Thrun is a guy you can use in the NHL. The Sharks made a calculated risk getting rid of him. They did just acquire Nick Leddy. I imagine he goes over to the left, and Vinny Desharnais is on the right side. Also, look at the amount of cap space the Sharks have. There's no way they're done, and the fact that they're working the phones right now, August is around the corner, and August is often a mothball month, and guys go on vacation. I don't think they're done, and I think it's coming soon. Just my thoughts. Now, in March, when I went down to San Jose with the SDP crew, I met a lot of people, and all those people have reached out to me with nothing but glowing things to say about Henry Thrun. They love this guy. He's a good person. But listen, not to be cold about it, lots of guys are good guys. Can he play? The answer is yeah. We'll start with the hilarious part. The man has 5 career NHL goals, and his first one was against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto against former Sharks goalie Martin Jones, who is a Leaf, and you forgot. And I just reminded you. He's played 119 regular season games in the NHL, and last season was pretty much his first full season in the NHL. He played 8 games as a rookie, then 51 games in the 23-24 season, but he did split time with the San Jose Barracuda. Most of it was in the NHL, 51 games in the NHL, 15 games in the AHL, but still up and down. This past season, career high 60 games, all in the NHL. Now, it's a Brad Treliving trade on a Craig Berube team, so you're gonna ask, is he big? The answer is, I think so, but I'm not sure. So Puckpedia and HockeyDB both list him at 6'2". Puckpedia lists his weight at 190 pounds. HockeyDB lists him at 210. In this sport, that's a lot. That's a big swing. Speaking of big swings, that is something he is willing to do. The guy will go. He had a fight against Vince Dunn of the Seattle Kraken, who is, honest to goodness, one of the most underrated fighters in the NHL. Reminds me a little bit of Francois Beauchemin. Francois Beauchemin in the regard that, he's a good defenseman, and when you see him drop the gloves, you're like, uh-oh, why is he dropping the gloves? Oh my god, he's murdering that person. That's kind of what Vince Dunn does. Thrun doesn't exactly get the best of that fight, but he got some real nasty shots in, and he was willing to go. There's another nice one where he fights Logan O'Connor of the Colorado Avalanche. O'Connor took a run at one of the Sharks. Thrun didn't like it. He said, you're not going to go after my guy, confetti gloves, and he fights him and takes him down. Now, his career high in goals is 3. Again, one of them was against the Leafs. Hilarious. And his career high in points is 12. He's not an offensive dynamo. Although his first career goal against the Leafs was on the power play. And he was like kind of positioned in the bumper. And again, I'm going to remind you, this is a defenseman. I got really excited. I thought it said he was from Scarborough. It's actually Southborough, Massachusetts. Close enough. Here's what some people online have said about Henry Thrun. Kevin Papetti, who has a ridiculous knack for predicting who the Leafs are going to go after, earlier this month said Henry Thrun doesn't look great by the charts, but he's only 24 and hasn't played for a good team yet. If he's available, I wonder if a swap for Robertson would make some sense. And then the response underneath it is, they got him for Reaves. Dude, again, Reaves is a 38-year-old enforcer. Thrun is a 24-year-old defenseman. He's a guy. He can play. I don't think he's going to be in the Leafs lineup every night. He might not even be in the lineup most nights. Like, look at the Leafs D-core. Who's he kicking out, right? It's tough. But to get a 24-year-old defenseman who is going to have RFA status at the end of his contract, this is really good. I'm tempted to say, reminds me a little bit of the Simone Benoit situation, where, like, again, who is this person? Left-handed shot defenseman from a team that was in the basement of the standings last season. I think Benoit was 24 when the Leafs got him. Thrun is also 24. Well, Thrun's not going to be in their top 6 when the season starts. Well, neither was Benny. Benny was like 8th? Simone Benoit played games for the Marlies. I'm pretty sure he cleared waivers. Now, maybe that's what the Leafs do with Thrun and he gets claimed and this is all a moot point. I don't think they're going to do that. Again, they have this space. They can just keep him. You need extra guys. Here's a guy. He's an extra guy. Lovely. Anyway, Stephen Ellis says Henry Thrun was a good college player, which is true. Solid puck-moving defender. Can block shots and get in the way. Offensive output never really blossomed in San Jose. Worthy trade for Toronto, though. What he's talking about, by the way, in college, 21 points in 31 games, 32 points in 35 games, 31 points in 33 games. It's pretty gosh darn good. Worth mentioning, it'll be kind of funny if Thrun does end up getting the Simone Benoit treatment and succeeds with the Leafs on account of he was actually drafted by the Ducks. 4th round pick in 2019, and then he didn't sign with the Ducks. But even though he was a 4th round pick in 2019, he did so well in college that he was traded to the Sharks for a 3rd round pick in 2024. Dude, again, like, I'm not saying he's going to turn into Cale Makar. He's 24. Maybe he just is what he is. Maybe he gets better, but it's like by a smidge. This is just not even close to the return I thought the Leafs were going to get for Ryan Reaves. I thought the Leafs might have to attach a pick to Reaves. I thought they might have to waive him. I thought they might have to bury him in the minors. I thought maybe they get a depth pick back or, I don't know, some guy. Like, think back to a few years ago. What did the Leafs get in return for Matt Martin when they traded him back to the Islanders? Exactly. The correct answer, by the way, is an ECHL goalie on an NHL deal. Like a guy you're never going to see again. They got a guy who played 60 games last year. What? I don't care if it was on the Sharks. Dude, he was on a team that got shelled every night. That is baptism by fire. Now you're coming here and, listen, I don't know if the Leafs are going to win the division again, but it's better right now. I don't see a negative way to look at this trade for the Leafs. I really don't. I understand the logic for San Jose. Perfectly, it's all right. Getting Reaves is all right. I am a little wonky on giving up on a 24-year-old defenseman, especially when, like, he makes $1 million, but you have the cap space. Who cares? The Leafs getting rid of a player they weren't going to use anyway for a younger, cheaper player who plays D. Like, you're trading a winger for a D. They're 14 years apart in age. There's no reason for Brad Treliving to not do this trade. As small trades go, it's tidy, man. But I defer to you. What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment box down below. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell your friends. I have another video coming up where I have a look at the entire Leafs roster heading into next season. I shot it 4 hours ago. And then they made this trade, and I'm annoyed about it. But I'm going to shoot a clip so that you know. Whatever, it's a nice trade.